So I was talking about I created two mitigation controls, so BNZ underscore MIT1, BNZ underscore MIT2. Under MIT1 there is only one risk ID. Under MIT2 you have two risk IDs, risk 1 and risk 2. Okay, so let us, now the setup is ready. Let us go and start the actual risk analysis, how the work comes and all those things. So whenever user risk analysis is run, so I'm running the user level risk analysis.
Sridhar,
Yeah.
before you proceed in Paint, can you explain it once again? Because BNZ underscore MIT1 is where I'm getting confusion.
Pardon? BNZ underscore MIT1?
Yeah, that is where I'm getting confusion. Could you please explain it in Paint?
Okay. See, nothing but let me open Excel sheet. BNZ underscore MIT1. This is one mitigation control, right?
Yes.
Under this, I have added BNZ underscore RSK1, risk 1, and another mitigation control, BNZ underscore MIT2. Under that, I have added two risk IDs. Okay. Any doubt here?
No
So,
doubt.
so for this, under risk 1 has two mitigation controls, MIT1 and MIT2. Whereas for bench risk 2, there is only one mitigation control. Right. So going back now. Now, when you actually do the risk analysis, run in foreground, critical action, critical permission also I'm selecting, run in foreground. So I got the risks now. Okay. So now let us say I said remediation and mitigation. Remediation means removal of access, as simple as that. So user will decide, the approver. This report will be sent to mitigation approver, or you can call him also as a risk owner. This report will be sent to risk owner of this risk ID, or it could be even mitigation approver also. So those are the two people who will decide whether to mitigate or whether to remediate. How do you download this report? Just click on export result set. So that will be downloaded. This report will be downloaded. Just click on export result sets. First time it will not allow. You have to redo it once again. So export result sets. So this is a file which is created, and you can save this file on your desktop. So this is the file how we downloaded with the risk analysis data. So it will be downloaded onto the desktop of this remote desktop. Okay, it is there. Yeah. So this is Excel sheet that got downloaded with the data. So this file will be sent to the risk owner, who is the owner of this risk, to analyze why this risk is coming to this user, whether we should assign this role or not, or what are the in case of simulation, or in case of normal access. So we can check this role is causing the risks and this role is causing risks, which role has to be removed. If it is for possibility, they check all the possibilities, whether to remove the role or not to remove the role. And final decision, if the user says I want both the T codes, I am the person who is acting as both security and security and basis consultant, so I need both the T codes. I need SEC4 as well as PFCG, means I need the two roles. So in that case, we don't have any other option. We need to go for mitigation concept. So this report we will download and send it to the approver, I said, if it is manual process. This is manual process. If ARM is implemented, we do not do all this downloading concept and sending a mail to the approver. It is automatically sent. The approver himself can run the risk analysis and he can see the details within the access request himself. Okay, clear everyone? Once the risk analysis report is generated, this report is sent to approver in two ways. Manually, we can download it, attach in a mail, send it to the approver. Or if it is automated, if ARM is fully implemented, you can also automatically send this report to the approver through workflow concept. So we'll see that in the last component, ARM. Okay. So let us go back to the report once again. So this is a risk analysis report. Now how to mitigate a particular risk ID or a rule ID. I saved it as a variant. That is the reason it is appearing as global. Okay. Now let us see. So user has a SOD action level risk IDs. These are the risks available to user. Only one risk ID, but several rule IDs are available. Now if they take a decision like this has to be mitigated, so they select, for example, 0001 has to be mitigated. Select the entry, click on mitigate risk. On the top itself you have a mitigate risk. Just on the report top itself, select the rule IDs which you want to mitigate. Suppose you want to mitigate the first two, select all of them and click on mitigate risk. Okay, so if I want to mitigate only 000 this one, then select it and click on mitigate risk. Right, you can see here bench underscore user one, it is the control ID, mitigation control ID is automatically picked up, bnz underscore mit1, and even the monitor is also automatically picked up, because this risk one he has two mitigation controls. When I search for control IDs here, I will be able to see two controls, mit1 and mit2, because bnz underscore risk one is a part of two mitigation controls. We created mitigation controls, two mitigation controls. Under two mitigation controls we placed this risk ID. Now I can mitigate with either mit1 or I can mitigate with mit2 also. Choice is my whatever the choice I can. But the rule ID I want to mitigate only 0001. So you have to be careful here. If you forget, it will take all the rule IDs by star, so all the risks will disappear from the report. All of them will get mitigated. And what is the validity? You can see here 14/6/2017 to 14/6/2018. So the validity taken is 1 year by default. So this validity by default, which comes by default, can be modified using parameters. So I'll show you what are those parameters later. So let me mitigate this now. I am mitigating only 0001 of this risk ID, BNZ risk 1. Save it. Now rerun the report once again. Okay, just execute the report again. See in the report now 0001 disappeared. Why it has been disappeared is that has been taken care. So we need not concentrate on that rule ID once again. And the main reason why it disappeared is here when you are running risk analysis, if you tick it this one, include mitigated risks, and you run in foreground, now you will see the 0001 again, but in the end you can see the control ID is assigned and who is the monitor, who is monitoring this particular risk oriented T codes. Okay, clear everyone so far? Any doubts still here? So mitigating risk is what? Selecting the appropriate this one and clicking on the select, clicking on the mitigate risk. So it will automatically pick up the risk ID, mitigation control ID, and you need to take care of the rule ID, because by default it picks up. When I click on mitigate risk, it by default picks up, it is already mitigated. Let us select a 0002 for example, mitigate risk. So you can see rule ID by default is picking up a star. In the same way, if I click on save, all the rule IDs get mitigated and you will not see any risk in the report. So be careful while you are mitigating. Clear anyone? Any doubts so far? Right. Now let me check for the second risk, which is called as critical action risk. The risk ID is different, bench risk 2. Now if I want to mitigate this risk ID, click on mitigate risk. You can see the control ID automatically picked up is BNZ underscore MIT2. And if I search for mitigation controls, I can see only one mitigation control associated with this risk ID. Okay, I'm not defining it, I'm cancelling it. Now let us check the third category, critical permission. So this is risk 3. Click on mitigate risk. Now you can see control ID is empty here for risk 3. Even if I search for the control ID, it says no results found. Yes, can someone say why it is not appearing any control ID here?
We have not
Because this
defined
one is the
any controller for this
DMZ
risk.
risk.
So in total we have only 2 mitigation controls. In the 2 mitigation controls I did not include this risk 3 anywhere. Correct?
Yes, we included only risk 1 and risk
And
2.
risk 2. Under risk I included risk 1 under 2 mitigation controls. I can see 2 mitigation controls for risk 1. For risk 2 I have only one mitigation control, that is risk mitigation control 2. And for risk 3 there is no mitigation control at all, and hence I will not be able to find any mitigation control. So finally I cannot mitigate this risk now. So from this, what did you understand? So
Control ID is
So for
HSID.
any risk, if you want to mitigate, we need to define the control ID, like monitor and approver. We need to define.
exactly.
Then only we
Suppose if
can
you have
mitigate.
100 risk IDs in your system, all the risk IDs should have a dedicated mitigation control to which a approver and monitor is defined. Clear everyone?
Yes.
So ensure that all the risk IDs in your system, GRC system, are have associated mitigation controls. Otherwise, we cannot mitigate that risk if any user has that particular risk ID. Now this bench user has risk 3 and I cannot mitigate it because there is no control associated with this risk ID. Okay, clear everyone? So let me go back to the document once. So I'll just re-go through, revise the steps. So this is what we have done. User has risk 1, risk 2 or several risks. So under mitigation control, we link up the risk with the mitigation control and we will define a validity for that control. The assignment of mitigation will have a validity, and by default the validity is 365 days, that is 1 year. We can even change the validity for 3 months or 6 months also. And every mitigation control must at least have one approver and one monitor. And coming to the setup steps, so you have to create the user IDs in SU01 for mitigation approver and monitors in the GRC system, and ensure that the appropriate roles are assigned to the IDs, and these are the other roles which you have to assign. Then declare them in GRC system as a mitigation approver and monitor in NWBC setup and access control owners. Then creating the root org is mandatory, and then defining owners for the organization, because we use that organization in the definition of mitigation control. So in real-time scenario, how the setup would be. So I have shown you only 3 risk IDs, right? Say for example, I have total 10 basis risks in my JRC system. So what I do is 5 risks will be, I'll put it under mitigation control 1, and 5 other risks will be put under mitigation control 2. So for mitigation control 1, approver 1, A1 and M1, approver 1 and monitor 1. For mitigation control 2, you have A2 and M2. So basically what we are trying to do is, if there are more number of risks, so obviously you should have more number of controls also. The reason being, if you have 30 risks or 40 risks under one business process, so if you include all the risk IDs under same mitigation control, this monitor will be heavily loaded with your work. This monitor will have a lot of work, or he has an overload, because he has to track all the risk IDs 30 risk IDs. If you have 30 risk IDs within finance team, finance business process, so this person will be overloaded with the work because he has to monitor all the 30 risks. So instead what we do is we create 3 controls like this. We can divide within finance AP and then FA and then GL. So there is risks related to AP, risks related to FA fixed assets, risk related to GL general ledger. We can put it all the risks under MIT1, and for which A2 and M2 will be the owners, and FA, A4 and M4 will be the owners, and for GL, A5 and M5 will be the owners. So in interview they can ask you a question like how many mitigation controls you have in total. So you can say per business process we have 3 to 4 controls. So we do not need more than that. So generally we find maximum 3 to 4 or maximum 5 controls per business process. And that too depends on the risk IDs. How many risk IDs are there under that particular business process? Clear everyone?
Sridhar, for mitigation controls,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to assign, is there any limit for that?
What sort of limit you are asking?
I mean, like one mitigation control should have certain number of risks. More than that, we can't assign like that. Do we have any limit?
One mitigation control should have, come again?
If we take example of BNZ underscore MIT1,
Okay.
for that mitigation control, how many risks can be assigned?
There is no limit. We can assign a number of risk IDs.
Okay, okay, that is my question. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no limit. But I told you, right? If you assign more risk IDs under one mitigation control, the monitor will get overloaded.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is the reason for every business process we are associating like this. 3 controls or 4 controls we'll put, for which we'll have a dedicated approver and monitor.
Okay. For
Okay.
every function, right?
Pardon?
Is it for every function?
No, I'm talking about business process. Let us take finance, okay?
Okay.
So you have 30 finance risks, for example. Okay? So 10 risks
Yeah.
I will place under MIT1, finance underscore MIT1. 10 I will place under MIT2. 10 I will place under MIT3. So the workload is distributed, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So M2 will monitor 10 risks of finance, M4 will monitor 10 risks, and M5 will also monitor 10 risks.
Okay.
Okay, any other doubts before moving ahead? So finally the point what I said is every risk ID should be a part of some mitigation control, else it cannot be mitigated. Very important note. Every risk ID should be part of some mitigation control. Now coming to, I told you there is a parameter that controls the validity. Mitigation control validity is controlled by a parameter under the below path. So the all parameters which control in access control are under this path: SPRO, GRC, access control. Let us go there. SPRO. So the page we are going now, the path configuration parameters we call that. So that is dedicated to entire access control parameters. Okay. So SPRO. SAP reference IMG, under that GRC, see under access control. First point, first step under access control, maintain configuration settings. Execute. So entire parameters will be available here. Okay. Now how to search a parameter? There are so many parameters are here available. Just click on new entries. And what topic we are dealing about now? The topic is mitigation. Okay. So in the parameter group, search for the topic called as mitigation. Under that you find several parameters. There are 3 parameters related to mitigation. These are the 3 parameters. 1011, first parameter, related to default expiration time for mitigation control assignments. So this is the parameter I was talking about. 1011. Select it. And here in days they are saying. So let me give here 30 days and let us save the parameter. So it is getting captured in a customizing transport request. We can transport this through transport, normal transport management system. So few of them we cannot transport, but these changes can be transportable. Right. Now go back to your system and rerun the try to mitigate a risk ID now. Suppose I selected 0002, click on mitigate risk. Now, okay, it is not yet updated. Let me open and close and to open again. Still it is not updated here. Yeah, now you select. Then click on mitigate risk. Still it is not getting updated. Okay. User level. Select any one risk ID. Click on mitigate risk. Yeah, you can see the dates now. 14/6/2017 to 14/7/2017. Exactly, it has taken 30 days validity. So this 30 days validity is coming from the parameters. So the parameter name is 1011, belonging to a category called mitigation. Under mitigation category, the parameter is 1011. So in interviews, they can ask you the parameters. What is the parameter related to mitigation control validity? And what is the default validity? So default validity is is 1 year. That is nothing but 365 days. Okay, clear everyone? So in total, the process of mitigating risks is this one. A user has a risk. When you run the report, the risk report is sent to a risk owner or mitigation approver. So they are the decision maker. So if they decide to mitigate, we need to link the risk ID with the appropriate mitigation control. If mitigation control is not available for that risk, it's a security or GRC team duty to create a mitigation control to that particular risk ID. Ensure that every risk ID is associated with some mitigation control. Otherwise, that risk cannot be mitigated. Okay. So clear about this thing? This is all about mitigation concept. You can even mitigate not only at user level but also at a role level also. But the risk analysis has to be run at first role level and then you try to mitigate at a role level. So let's see. So try to run risk analysis at role level now first. Select the role. Role name. Rule set. Bench. Detail. Action level. Critical action. Okay. Run in foreground. So there are risks even at the role level also, and these risks are not even critical action risks. So you can select this also as well as click on mitigate risk, the same procedure again. So to which rule ID, to which control ID and to which rule ID you have to exactly mention here, and the validity taken is 1 month again here. So mitigating at a role level is not required because if that role is not assigned to any user, it doesn't matter. So always prefer the main is user level only. So most of the clients concentrate only on the user level, no need to concentrate on the role level. Clear so far?
Yes, of course, Sridhar. Actually, when we develop any role,
Yeah.
that time when we get any risk, so that time we need to check, we need to concentrate, right? Either we need to go for remediation or mitigation.
See, whatever the process you take, for example,
No, initially we need to concentrate role level only, right? Because
yes,
whenever
correct.
we do develop any role in development system,
See,
before we move
concentrating,
to
yeah, I'm coming to your point. Concentrating on the role level will be fine for critical action and critical permissions.
okay,
But if you mitigate SOD risks at role level, it is not useful. Did you get my point?
okay,
Why? Because
yeah,
even if you mitigate SOD risk at role level, okay, that T code, which is risk causing T code, will combine with other roles of the user. User has other roles assigned, and that will cause again a risk.
yes, correct.
Okay, so role level mitigation is not correct or not recommended for SOD risks, but role level mitigation can be done for critical action and critical permission risks. For example, let us take the T code of SEC5. In a role, there is a T code called SEC5. So SEC5, if you mitigate at role level itself, that risk will not appear at user level also.
Okay.
Clear? Got my point, what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it. So you mean to say that if we get any role level risk,
Yeah.
then we will move the changes to production. But while assigning the role to the user, that time we need to do the mitigation. right?
Yes. See, mitigation will vary from user to user.
Yes, yes, yes.
The same mitigation will not apply to all users.
Okay.
That is the reason.
Okay.
If you go for role level,
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. See, in a role, there is a T code called SCC5. Okay. That role
Okay.
will appear as a risk for every user. Correct?
Yes, correct.
So, to whom we will mitigate that risk ID, that particular risk ID? We have to mitigate that risk ID only for the basis users, but for the remaining users, it has to be remediated.
Yes, correct.
So, getting my point. If you mitigate at the role level itself, that will not appear to any user.
right?
Yes, correct.
So, it is risky basically.
It's not like that, right? When you do mitigation role level, the role is assigned to user. So whenever they do any activity, the particular risk,
Hmm.
the role owner, sorry, not role owner, mitigation controller or monitor, they will get notification, right?
Yeah, they get
Yes, the role
notification.
level also.
Yes, yes, correct. See, if basis team is the 10 people, for example, you have a team size of 10 people, and remaining all others are 100 users, for example. You are assigning this role to 100 users, out of which only 10 people are basis people.
Okay.
So the monitor should not, why should monitor those 90 people who should not have access to, first of all, SCC5?
Okay.
See, basis is the responsible team to have a SCC5 T code, correct?
Yes, correct.
Remaining 90 users are not allowed or not permitted to have the T code SCC5 access.
Yes, correct.
Why should monitor unnecessarily monitor the 90 users also? If you mitigate at role level, he has to monitor all the 100 users. If you mitigate at
How
user level, he will monitor only 10 users.
No, I did not get you. How he has to monitor 100 users?
Okay. So you are saying there is a SCC5 transaction in a role, okay?
Okay.
And this role is assigned to 100 users.
Okay.
Now you said what? I will mitigate this at role level itself.
Yes, correct.
As this is assigned to 100 users, the monitor will be getting reports whenever these 100 users use that SCC5 T code. Yes or not? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, correct. He will get.
Correct. Now I am saying don't mitigate at role level. Just mitigate at 10 users. Just mitigate for 10 users only at user level. So which one you recommend?
We recommend 10 users.
So it is easy for a monitor to monitor 10 users rather than monitoring all the 100 users who have access to that SCC5. So our intention is that SCC5 should appear as a risk for the remaining 90 users, for all the users. The decision making should be final at the user level only. So what we
Okay. So
suggest
you
is
mean to say,
we remove that
so
that
only 10?
we remove that role to 190 users and we assign the role only to 10 users.
Yeah, now I understand. Now I understand. Got it.
So if you mitigate at role level itself, it will not appear to any user. Correct? So whether
Correct.
you assign to 100 users, 1000 users also, it will not appear to any user. That is a very
Yeah,
big
yeah, now
problematic.
yeah, now understand now.
Right. So clear everyone? Any other doubts
Yeah.
regarding the mitigation concept? Okay. Right. So we are done with the major concepts like risk analysis, of at a different levels, user level, role level, and then simulation at user level, role level, and then remediation and mitigation. Now we are left with the small or leftover topics like individual topics like risk analysis, like offline risk analysis, online risk analysis. So shall we see today or tomorrow? Called as offline risk analysis and online risk analysis. What do you mean by online risk analysis and what do you mean by offline risk analysis? So let me explain you diagrammatically. So if you see this diagram, in the online risk analysis, when you do online risk analysis, the data is freshly pulled from ECC, that user data, roles assigned to user data, and then risk analysis is run and that data will be displayed to you. Whereas in the offline risk analysis, the data will be pulled from the local GRC tables. So the data will be stored into tables, local GRC tables, risk analysis data, and the data will be pulled from local GRC tables and is shown to you. So that is called as offline risk analysis. Online risk analysis means every time the system goes to ECC backend system, it fetches the data from ECC, runs the risk analysis and shows you the data. Okay, clear everyone?
So in that case, offline risk analysis will not have the current information, right?
Maybe not exactly we can say. Sometimes it may not contain the exact accurate data.
Okay.
So this is your ECC system and this is your GRC. So inside GRC we have the tables, local tables. So in these tables, so we will fill these tables with the risk analysis data through the concept called as batch risk analysis. So we fill the GRC tables with the help of concept called as batch risk analysis. Batch risk analysis is a concept running risk analysis for all the users in the system, and the data is shown to you, and that gets stored into the local system. So this risk analysis report, if it is freshly pulled from ECC and then shown to you, this is called as online. If it is pulling like this, so this is called as offline. Online, and this is offline. Okay. So any doubts regarding the diagrammatic representation or concept?
So the batch risk analysis, it's a like a background job.
Yeah, we will do it in the form of a background job.
Okay, so the data will be stored in the GRC table.
Yes. So batch means what? Complete set, complete users, complete roles, whatever available in the backend system. So it will run risk analysis for all the users in the backend system and then stores in the GRC tables.
Okay.
Okay, clear everyone?
Yes.
Right. Let me put this diagram there.
When we use offline mode and when we use online mode?
It is our wish basically, what mode you want to run. So now I'll discuss some theoretical points about this, then you can decide whether to go for offline risk analysis or online risk analysis. So coming to the point of online risk analysis, GRC pulls the data from backend ECC and run risk analysis. So the data is accurate data and updated data. System performance would be affected. So because every time it has to basically not affected, the system would be slow. So it is a slow response, or you can say late response better. It takes time to go into the backend, pull the data, run the risk analysis, and it will to show you. If RFC error is there, if your connection is not working properly, this risk analysis will fail. Online risk analysis will fail. It will not fetch you any data. So if you are running risk analysis, if you are not able to find the risks, user has risks and you are not able to find it, means this could be one of the problem, RFC error. Now coming to offline, GRC pulls the risk analysis data stored in local GRC tables or dashboards, we can call it. These tables get updated by batch risk analysis job. It is not accurate data and not updated. Why I am saying not accurate data or not updated? So it may run once in a day or twice or once in 2 days. So let us say suppose every day it runs in the night time around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. this batch risk analysis. And the morning time you do some changes in the ECC system, that changes are not captured in your batch risk analysis because it runs every day 9 p.m. And when you run the risk analysis data offline, it will not pull the accurate data. So I can say sometimes it is not accurate, and system performance is not affected. If there is RFC error, still we get the, so it is like a fast response will be there because it is local system. The data is pulled from local system, right? So the response will be faster when compared to online risk analysis. And if there is any RFC error, also still we can get the risk analysis report. Okay. Fast response will be there when compared to. Okay, clear everyone?
Yes, yes.
Right. So generally people prefer, if you are checking for individual user, generally it doesn't take more time, so we generally go for online risk analysis only. But when it comes to multiple users or multiple roles, so then we prefer going for offline risk analysis because it takes more time. For a single user, when you are running, better to go for always online risk analysis. Now, where can we enable this feature, like whether to choose offline data or online data? So when you run the risk analysis, basically in the page, risk analysis page, user level, you can see here offline data is there, one option which is disabled actually. So in order to enable this, again a parameter is linked to it. So the parameter is 1027 parameter. So go to the same path which we discussed just now and then enable that parameter. So let me close the screen. To enable that offline data, you have to go to the parameter. So new entries, as it is related to the topic risk analysis. Now search the parameter IDs. There are many parameter IDs. Here 1027 is related to enable offline risk analysis. 1027, make it yes. Save it. Now you come back and check it. It will trigger, it will enable that feature. User level. You can see here. Now you can tick this like this, offline data. Provided when you are ticking offline data, you should ensure that batch risk analysis is running. So now let us check. So clear so far? Next we'll see how this batch risk analysis is enabled or scheduled. So clear regarding the how to enable offline data or online data?
Yeah.
Now coming to the batch risk analysis. So this can be again done from SPRO. Under access control, go to access risk analysis. Under access risk analysis, you have batch risk analysis. Under batch risk analysis, you have execute batch risk analysis. Click on execute. Yeah. Here, first select the system name, to which system you want to run this batch risk analysis. ECC client 200. And then processing mode full, rule set star, users star, you can see, roles star, profile star, HR object star. So complete risk analysis we are doing now. And what all levels you want to do? Permission, critical action, critical permission, action level, critical role, profile level. Now just do it in the background mode again. Don't directly execute it. System performance would be affected. Execute in background. The similar way, how do you do the sync jobs? Background mode. You can schedule it daily once or once in 2 days. If the changes are less, you can do it once in weekly also, immediate. If you want to do it periodic, select periodic and then period values, hourly, daily, weekly. You can do this. So let me schedule it weekly. So every week it will be running now. Save it. So at the bottom you can see the status background job was scheduled for program GRAC underscore batch underscore risk analysis. So this is how you execute the batch risk analysis from the path, the below path. SPRO, GRC, access control, under access control, access risk analysis, batch risk analysis, and execute batch risk analysis. So the data has been captured here. So batch risk analysis and the path. Analysis, and then execute batch risk analysis. It is running risk analysis for all the users roles in the system and updates the dashboards under the reports and analytics tabs also. So it is also responsible for updating this tab, reports and analytics tab. So in your NWBC page, so you have this reports and analytics. Under this work center, you have the tabs here like risk violations, user analysis, role analysis, violations, etc., etc. These are the graphical representation of your risks and all those access dashboards. So if you want to see this data when you click on the links, this batch risk analysis is mandatory. So it will not, it needs some graphical version also. So software has to support it to show you in the graphical format. Yeah, it is not supporting here. So if you have the necessary softwares to show you in the graphical format, it will show you the reports in the form of pie diagrams, bar graphs, etc. the number count. Clear everyone so far? Batch risk analysis. And offline and online risk analysis.